Hi, and welcome to this presentation about how to control and manage this fear that almost all Americans have. How to not be afraid of doing what I'm doing right now, speaking in front of people. Speech fear is the #1 fear of most people, and today I want to teach you how to overcome it. I know a lot about this because I've been a professor of communications for over 25 years, actually over 30 years. I've been teaching people how to stand in front of individuals and give speeches. I've seen over 50,000 speeches at least, probably even more, and I've helped at least that many people be able to do this with confidence and with a lot more calm than they had before they ever started. And I want to share with you how to do that using my experience. Now, I'm also a professional speaker. I'm certified by the National Speakers Association, and I've just learned a lot about how to go on stage and how to make it look good despite any kind of nervousness. And so we're going to teach you today how to do that very thing, and is controlling the thing called speech fear. Now, the first thing that I want to do in sharing with you this thing called speech fear is talk to you about how common it is. And so we have a couple slides that we're going to throw in for you to see. And the first one is to see the fact that this is a pretty normal fear. In fact, studies say that it's the #1 fear that most individuals write down when they ask what their top 5 to 10 fears are. #1 is almost always people saying anywhere between 70 and 90% of people say, I hate talking in front of people. And it's really not a life-threatening fear, but it certainly is one that makes us feel extremely nervous. And what's interesting is that the other top 5 are being eaten alive. It's also having financial ruin. Interesting, there's things like clowns in there, but most people write down that they really don't like talking in front of people. So I want to show you how to overcome it and manage it today. Here's what we first need to start out and talk about, and that is the #1 goal is, unfortunately, there's no magic wand. We're not going to get rid of speech fear. Our goal today isn't that you won't have it. The goal is that no one will see it. You will still look confident and credible, but you will feel calmer than you did before you ever had any training on this subject. The bottom line is you can't get rid of it. Here's what's really interesting. I've had people say this to me all the time. How do you get up in front of people and talk as much as you do? And I say to them, I'm actually not as afraid as I used to be when I was a younger person doing it. Now I actually find it to be a rush. It's really fun. It's like adrenaline. And how I got there is a process of experience and time on the stage. But here's an interesting point. What you call fear, I call adrenaline. The only difference is time on the stage, practice, rehearsal, and techniques that have taught me how to be calm. I liken it to skiing. I'm a skier. If you're not a skier, you still probably could get along with this example that I'm going to share with you. When I first started skiing, I was terrified, and a little baby hill that was really a small slope was still scary because I couldn't stop. And when I don't know how to stop, that's scary because it is life-threatening. I could break a bone, I could hurt myself, or whatever. But as I managed and became more confident on the little baby hill, I now sought out a taller hill. And then I went down that with confidence. Once I got to that, now I seek out hills that do enough to make me be a little scared, but also feel like it's within control and it's fun. And that is the same exact thing that you can accomplish with speech fear. You can eventually become very calm and confident in it, scaring yourself just enough that you are going to do a good job, and it will energize you to do the best that you can. And that control that you can achieve is the goal. The goal is to not let the audience see it and to feel calm and confident despite having it. Dale Carnegie said, and it's my favorite quote, that anything worth doing is worth doing badly at first. And if you don't know anything about Dale Carnegie, he was the first, if you would, the father of public speaking. But anything worth doing is worth doing badly at first. And so this thing of speech fear, unfortunately, you have to do in front of people at first. And so you find really small audiences in which to do that. Let's begin to discuss why speech fear is such a problem. What we first have to understand about speech fear is that it is all about our body. It's this thing that we have to live in that is causing the problem. There's something called the parasympathetic nervous system that causes this, or the sympathetic nervous system. You might know it as a term, the flight or fight syndrome. Almost everyone has heard of that. What happens when we have a fear response is that it actually physically affects our body. The flight or fight means that your body is going to pour adrenaline into your system so you can protect yourself. And you're going to protect yourself. Your normal choices were to get up and have dukes and fight out, or run and flee from the situation. And in both cases, you need excessive physical energy to be poured into your system. So your body gives you that energy so that you can fight or flight. In speech fear, you have to stand still and deal with it. You're getting the full energy or adrenaline load, but you're not moving. So there's a slide that's going to come in right now that's going to show you what those major physical reactions are. Those physical reactions are that your breathing picks up and you start breathing faster. And that actually has two symptoms. It will make you talk faster, and a lot of people, I say, will sound like a speeding freight train. And they'll take one breath and they'll deliver the whole speech like an auctioneer, and they'll go so fast. And it's like, whoa, slow down that train that just went by. And it's the breathing that causes that. There are also people who get a vocal quiver. They literally sound like their voice is shaky. That is also due to their breathing quickly, and it gets the vocal cords all shaking. And you have to calm your breathing for that one to be managed. The second one is that your heart beats really hard. People feel like they can hear it or see it, and it feels really strong. Now the reason that that's beating so hard, it's sending oxygenated blood out to your extremities. That you will feel. 90% of people shake under the adrenaline rush. It's like you had a can of Red Bull and you're just shaking, or actually 2 cans of Red Bull, because it will give you that kind of adrenaline. And lots of people stand there and shake. One of the worst things to do, of course, would be to pick something up, because folks will have it all shaking in front of the audience. And so shaking is universal. The next symptom that happens is people actually sweat. The reason they sweat is it sounds like a workout is actually happening in our body just by this fear. And this is very true. A workout is happening, and so your body will perspire. Some people feel it dripping down their back, or their armpits are wet, or they'll feel it on their forehead. One of the worst things you can do is touch it and draw attention to this wetness that is occurring. It's definitely there. It is real that you will potentially perspire. Another one is that a lot of people say, oh, the queasiness in my tummy, I feel like a lead rock, or they call it butterflies in my tummy, or they say it's just like not moving and functioning. I feel really uncomfortable. That is actually very real as well. What is happening is, in order to give your body full adrenaline resources, your system literally shuts down what they would consider temporary non-essential functions. And that non-essential function is the digestive system. And that means from the top of from your mouth to your tummy, you're not functioning. So another symptom of that is that a lot of people say they have dry mouth or cotton mouth, and they feel tacky and sticky and there's no moisture. It's not a really pretty thought, but unfortunately, there actually is no new saliva being produced during instances of speech fear, because your system has shut down that function. And so in order to not have dry mouth, you have to pay attention to this by making sure that you're putting some water, and I use some honey and some hot water before a speech with some tea, and it helps make sure that I don't have cotton mouth. That is a very common symptom. But your tummy is also a very realistic symptom. The only way to address it is to be, if you would, pre-speech aware and not eat anything that wouldn't sit well with your tummy under the instances of a shutdown state, which would be you don't want to have milk or cream products or ice cream or something that wouldn't sit well in the acids of your tummy, or you really could feel uncomfortable. And so your digestive system is creating that symptom, and it is very real. And then another one that happens are the 5 senses. Whenever you are in a fear state, your senses are more acute. They actually become more alert. I give you this example. If you are walking outside and it's very dark and no one else is around and you've got to get to your car, but you hear a noise, what happens? Your whole body's alert. You're listening more intently, you're seeing more intently, but you also do have those goosebumps that rise up on your skin. And those little bumps are actually very normal. Your hairs literally are standing up. Your skin is much more sensitive. Here's how it shows up in speech fear. All of a sudden, people feel hairs on their skin. that they really truly are feeling. But if you pay attention to them, everyone else will now pay attention to them. So one of the examples is that people feel hairs on their face, and they'll start doing things like and they start feeling them. The problem with them is that they move. And so you'll feel one here, then you'll feel one here, and then you'll feel one here. And I've actually seen someone reach up and scratch their legs while they were speaking in front of people, because you don't want anyone to see these things touching those hairs. They will simply just move. And the other one that's really common is that when all of this is going on in your body, all of these speech symptoms that we just mentioned, what also happens is that your mind goes blank. It's actually another symptom of your body causing your concentration to be pulled away into this problem it's managing, so that you're not focusing on what you want to say. There are a lot of things you can do about that, and of course one of those would be practice. Those are the reasons that you're having problems. How do we fix it? How do we manage this? How do we control this so that you can feel calm? I would like to give you some tips on how to do that. I use an acronym called CONCEAL. And it's CONCEAL. If you'd like to take notes, just put that down the side of your page, and I will give you a word for each one of those that are the top tips that I feel are going to give you tools to improve and strengthen your ability to not have this problem look bad in front of people, so you can look calm, confident, and incredible while you're speaking. You ready to start? Let's go ahead and do it. The first one, the C, the conceal. All right, what this is that I want you to cover it up. Number one goal is you can't get rid of it, but you can hide it. Your job will be not to let the audience know. You're going to manage it so they don't see it. If you can look good by covering it up, they won't know. And at the end of your speech, they'll say, "You looked great. You didn't even look worried. You looked awesome," because I was shaking inside, but they don't have to see it. And so the whole purpose of the word conceal and my tips for improving your performance is that we're going to not let the audience know that you're afraid. We're going to help you have the ability to look confident and incredible up front until you get there. Eventually you will get strong enough, but at the beginning we need to not let anyone else see those symptoms. So the first word, the C, is that you're going to cover it up. Let's go to the O. Here's what the O is. The O is going to give you the confidence that you need. The O is be observed. Never, in my opinion, should a beginning individual learning public speaking skills take that speech for the first time to be in front of the real audience. Someone else should have observed you first. In fact, I believe you should be observed at least 2 times in front of a real audience of your creation, your friends and family and people who love you, who will listen to you and help you develop your speaking skills off stage, off the main stage. But then when it's time to do it for real, you do it for real in front of the real group, but you've really truly practiced it off stage somewhere else. I'm going to give you an example. You know, I've told you I'm a professional speaker. I never ever take a speech, even with 35 years of being a professional speaker, I never take that speech to the audience that is the real customer until I've delivered it at least 2 or 3 times off stage. I'm in Toastmasters, a wonderful group that helps you have practice opportunities in order to present that speech first. I also ask my friends and family if they will come listen to brand new material and help me develop it and present it. And one of the examples is that I once was a professional speaker for a nonprofit organization, and I had developed a program that I had to go to a national conference in which to present. While at that national conference, I presented it great. But it's only because back home, I first presented it in front of my peers, my team, and then I said, you know what, I really need to create the speech fear symptoms that I'm going to have at the conference, and I need to present this in front of a group of people who will really truly critique it because they want it to be a good product when I go out. So I asked to speak in front of the board of directors. The board of directors didn't really know me that well. I was one of the people who did the work, not really one of the people they knew. And interestingly enough, the board president was married to the president of the college I taught for. So it created speech fear for me. It made me nervous, but they were a safer audience than the real audience that I would be presenting to a couple weeks later. When I presented in front of these 35 professional peers in the community who didn't know me very well, and it was an example of proving myself in front of them, I got accolades after doing so that I did such a great job, but I also knew that the real benefit was I was preparing the speech for the real audience. That's what you should do. If I have to do it, you have to do it. Take it in front of a real group first that you create of your own making, but not the ones where it really counts, where the dollar and the buck are you're being paid for, or whatever you're trying to get out of that presentation. Before it comes in for a grade, I tell the students they have to be observed at least 2 times. Create that audience for yourself so that you have that practice. I think I've made that point clear. Be observed. The next one is when you make a mistake. I always like to pause there and think about those words I just said. When you make a mistake in your speech. Here's just reality. Everyone makes a mistake from their prepared plan in the real presentation. Everyone does. I've made them already today. But here's what I didn't do. When I made a mistake, I didn't say, oh, hold up. Oh, I'm so sorry. That isn't what I meant to say. Wait, I need to start over. I didn't like that. Can I reword that? I need to do that a different way. What I did do is I stopped from where I was and just keep going. The bottom line is if you apologize for something that didn't harm anyone, you just messed up the way you were saying something, you're drawing more attention to it. I like to say you're saying, hold up, stop. Let's make sure we all saw it. Did you see that mistake? I made one. I just want to make sure you all saw it. It makes you look back when it really didn't matter anyway. If you don't draw any attention to it, the audience won't notice either. If I don't draw any attention to any mistakes I'm making while I'm speaking, we just keep moving forward with me. No one's concerned. So don't apologize when you make a mistake. Another mistake that some people make, though, is that when they make a mistake, get more nervous and they show the audience their nervousness. One of the ways that they show the audience they're nervous is they do this. It's that kind of stuff. Non-verbally letting people know that you felt like you made a mistake in your presentation. Honestly, they wouldn't even know that you made a mistake because they don't have your information in front of them. Unless you gave them a full script of the material, they don't know you made a mistake. So you want to non-verbally not let someone see it. Another mistake is to draw attention to yourself by being nervous. So never ever apologize and never touch your clothing, hair, or your body during a speech. It's one of the distractions. So that would look like this. If I was really wanting to look calm, any of this touching my clothing, my hair, especially flipping it, or if I had glasses on, or moving around, any small little movements around my body look nervous and distracting. So if you watch how I'm presenting, I'm mostly standing still. If I move, it's a purposeful and intentional movement, but it's slow and calm. I gesture with my whole hands, but not too fast, not crazy, real controlled. I like to say everything is controlled and calm looking. If you control it and go slow, you look calm, confident, and powerful. Very important things to consider. So think about how you're controlling your body so that you look good to the audience. All right, that was the end. Never touch yourself or apologize. Here's the C. In conceal, we're now on that C, and this one is calm yourself. The number one way to calm yourself is deep breathing. It's time for your speech. You know it's time for your speech is coming up. Major thing that you can do is to both think positively and calm yourself with your breathing. One of the mistakes that allows people to see that you're nervous is fast breathing. It will help you, it will cause you to race, and it might give you a vocal quiver. The major way to stop that is to deep breathe. Most people shallow breathe. They breathe chest high. What I'm talking about is diaphragmatic breathing, which takes it all the way down to the lowest part of what we call your abdomen floor. So it would be like this kind of breathing. I tell students to do this who are brand new at this, so hopefully this tip will help you. Take a deep breath and count how long it takes for it to release naturally. Take a deep breath. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Most people are between 6 to 8 seconds. One of the most important things you can do to look calm, speak normally and naturally is to control the pace of your breathing. And I literally suggest that you count. It's another thing to think about, and it helps you manage your body. And so the first words of your speech should be, and I'm thinking about my breathing, and I'm talking calm and peaceful. I take my next breath, not as obvious, and then I speak again to the next sentence, and I go through the content. What that does is have you sound calm, look calm, and calm yourself at the same time. And in doing so, you can deliver at a pace that sounds very, very easy, natural, even though you're not feeling it on the inside. You're putting it in there by controlling your pace of your breathing. And so calming yourself through visualization and through the breathing are huge. Now the visualization part, what I recommend students do, if you have rehearsed your speech outside of the program at least 2 times in front of 2 different audiences, you've done what you need to do to put this in place. I suggest you rehearse frequently, but rehearsing helps you have it in place. And you can say to yourself, I've rehearsed, I have this content, I know what I'm going to talk about, this is my area of expertise, I know what I'm doing. Now I just have to keep myself calm and get through it. So that in your breathing and in your self-talk, you get yourself to the stage of calm. So that would be the C. Let's move on to the E. This is actually my favorite one. This is, and I think, one of the most important things to do. So let me start this one by saying this. One of the most important things that you can do to look good on speech day, to have control over your body, and to look calm and confident, is actually done before you come in. It's actually done 2 days before the speech. And a lot of people think I'm going to say practice or rehearse, and that is important, but that's not what this one is. This one is an E. It's exercise. Here's the theory. I'm going to give you the concept, and then you're going to understand how you need to apply it. The concept is this. Your body, the parasympathetic nervous system, is pouring adrenaline into your system. It's giving you the energy to flight or fight, stay and fight, all that energy. The number one symptom for most people is shaking. All of that energy is pouring out into your body and you shake. In order to not shake, you have to release some of that excess capacity. You should not have full capacity if you're going to have any control. So how do you get the capacity reduced? You need to exercise those major extremities. I recommend that you figure out what level this is for you. No one can tell you because it's going to be what it takes for you to feel control. But for me, I go and lift weights, I walk on a treadmill for a while, and I swim a few miles. I then get control over my arms and my legs and my abdomen on the day of the speech because they're a little exhausted. They're nowhere near their full capacity. I exercise 2 days out because you start to feel it with the lactic acid buildup in your muscles 2 days later. And I want to feel it on the day of, not the endorphins and the adrenaline and the support. But then on the day of, I'm going to do a little more exercise. Now it's going to be lighter because I want to still walk. I still want to come in without pain. I want to look good on the stage and have control, not be in pain. So it's that in-between stage. So I'll exercise a little bit more the day of, maybe a little bit of running on a treadmill, lifting a little bit of weights, but nothing heavy. And then the day of, I should have a lot more control over my extremities because I've exhausted some of the capacity. And I won't feel like I'm shaking as much. It'll still be there, but it'll be light and it won't be as excessive. If you fail to exercise, you will feel like you can't get control of this because it is at full capacity. So I hope you understand the concept. The challenge will be for you to find your comfort level as to what place you begin to feel confident in your control over your body by the exercise level that you employ. It all is up to you taking it out and figuring it out. All right, the A in conceal is kind of a strange way of saying it, but it's to abdicate thinking about it the day of. Here's what this is about. If you rehearse every single day outside of the program, and you rehearse in front of 2 audiences that are real before the program, and you exercise, on the day of, there isn't anything else you can do to improve that speech. But thinking about it is simply going to just increase your nervousness. I call it pre-performance anxiety. Actually, I don't call it that. A lot of people call it that. All athletes know this. The pre-game, you're all nervous. You get worried about the performance that you have to do. And you know what's coming and all the activity. So what does a coach do? They try to distract them. They have TVs or shows or entertainment or activities. The only time that coach is really concerned about really doing that pre-pep talk is right before we go on the field, and then we get all riled up. But we don't want to do that everything ahead of time. Ahead of the game, we want to not think about it. Well, that's the same thing for a speaker. The most important thing that you can do the day of is no longer think about it. I watch beginner students come into the classroom and they have their notes out and they're poring over it and they're reading it and they're worried about it and they're talking to other people and saying, "Oh, I'm so nervous. Aren't you nervous? I'm so nervous." That is not helping. In fact, it's making the situation become, if you would, heightened in nervousness rather than reduced in nervousness pre-speech. You shouldn't be nervous until the moment the speech is to start. So to give you an example, what I do, I come in and it's speech day. I don't talk to anyone about my speech. I don't tell anyone. If someone says, "What are you speaking at?" "Oh, you'll see." I don't want to talk about it because I need to get my mind off of it. If there are speakers ahead of me, I'm paying attention to them. I'm listening to them. Until it's my turn, I'm not thinking about my speech. And even then, I'm breathing and I'm saying, "I can do this. I've done the rehearsal. I know what's coming. I have this." And I don't think about the actual words I want to say because I've already put that in place. So let's talk about practice a little bit too. You need to practice appropriately. A lot of people over practice. And by this, here's what I mean. They'll practice 10, 15 times a day. If you do that, you're actually probably over practicing, and there is such a thing as a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you are making a certain mistake, and you're afraid of making that certain mistake, you keep practicing that mistake, you probably will make it again. In fact, what you need to do is practice once and then put it away and come back to it. So I recommend that people practice no more than 2 times a day, a week before the speech, every single day. Once in the morning, once at night. Once in the morning, once at night. Once in the morning, once at night, blah, blah, blah. And 2 of those need to be in front of real people a couple days apart. If you do that, you've practiced enough, in my opinion. Even unless you do one and mess it up and fix it right then and then again later. Over and over through repetition is how a speech becomes natural. It doesn't become natural cramming it in one speech session. This is one subject that you cannot cram the night before. It has to be done through repetition and rehearsal over and over and over. And it's in walking away and coming back and in walking away and coming back that you're fresh, and then you can usually begin to have some smoothness to the content, begin to have some flow, begin to be really comfortable with it. And so rehearsals shouldn't be more than 2 times a day and then 2 times in front of a real audience. And then the day of, you have to forget about it because it doesn't help you to spend any more time on it then. So that's the A. Now we're almost done because we're on the L of conceal. And that is something you're already doing. So I have to affirm that you're watching this videotape, you got to this point, and you're doing the most important, and that is to learn. Keep learning. Keep studying this subject because no good speech happens by accident. That is a strong belief that I have, and I state it to my students all the time. The number one thing is that no good speech is an accident. They're planned, they're prepared, and they're practiced. And then you deliver them with calm confidence because you planned, prepared, and practiced them. And you employed the conceal technique so that when you are nervous, the audience doesn't know. Because like Dale Carnegie said, anything worth doing is worth doing badly at first. So let's recap what conceal stands for, just for your information. All right, first, the C was cover it up. Don't let the audience see that you have these symptoms. You are guaranteed to have some speech fear symptoms, but they don't have to see it. They don't have to know it. You can look calm and confident. The next one is, in order to have this calm, confident appearance, be observed at least 2 times in front of real audiences. That gives you the practice and rehearsal that you need to make sure that it will be the same product you have to deliver on the real day. The N is conceal your nervousness by never touching yourself during the presentation and never apologizing for mistakes that you feel that you have made. You will make some mistakes in your presentation the way you had planned it, but don't worry about it. They don't know, but don't draw more attention to it even if you do. Just keep going. The other is C for calm yourself. Deep breathing, visualizing will help keep you calm during your presentation. Then you have exercise. The number one thing you can do to reduce the capacity of your energy a couple days before the presentation. Start exercising and then the day of a little bit more, and that will help you not have the full capacity to shake or let the audience see those symptoms. The next one is A for abdicate thinking about it. Don't dwell on it the day of. You can't do anything to improve your speech by that point. It'll only make you more nervous. And then the L is what you're doing right here, is to learn. And that is spend time becoming a student of this subject of public speaking so that you can have the best product that you can out of your performance skills. And if I can help you, I look forward to it. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can do that by reaching me through my webpage, Sage Forward Training, or via email at mbrady@sageforward.com. I look forward to helping you talk better so that you can present yourself the best that you are able. Thanks for listening.